Hello, everybody, and welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. We're glad that you could join us today on October 5th, on another Monday during the pandemic. Give me just a second as I welcome our Spanish-speaking neighbors onto the show and to make sure that they can get access to the interpretation. Buenas tardes, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en otro foro comunitario 3 en punto con SOC. Como siempre, ustedes pueden escuchar el programa en español a través de una llamada de conferencia. Y el número que hay que marcar es 646-749-3122. Y el código para entrar es 779-328-221. Also, I just want to remind all of you that these videos are always on our Facebook and YouTube pages after we do them live. So if you can't be with us right at 3 o'clock, you can always see these videos afterwards on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. I'm Gabe Charles. I am the Civic Engagement Manager here at Southside Organizing Center, and we've got a bunch of other staff members helping out behind the scenes. Always very thankful for them. And I just want to remind you all, too, that we are not currently doing any work in person, but you can still access us through our phone, email, and social media platforms, as well as our website. Our phone number is 414-672-8090. You can email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org, and you can visit our website that has tons of information at socmilwaukee.org. Also, I just want to encourage everybody to be filling out the survey that we always have in the comment section for you all. This forum is for you all. As residents, we want to make sure that we're giving as much information as we can to you and the information that you want to be hearing about. So you can give us suggestions in that survey, let us know what's going well, let us know what we could improve on, but we're always looking for that feedback from all of you because we do this for you. Also, like I said, we are everyone at SOC is still working virtually, so that is why you see me on the screen without a mask. I'm at my house. I am not around other people, but know that if we were at the office or we were around other staff members, we would absolutely be abiding by the mask mandate and would be masking up. And we encourage and hope that all of you are doing the same to stay safe. Also, just want to share a disclaimer that the views and opinions shared today do not necessarily reflect those of SOC. We are a C3 organization, which means we have to limit our conversations in some ways, but always want to give voice to the folks that we bring on as guests. And with that, I would just love for folks to say hi that are watching. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a hello, whatever it may be, to let us know that you're watching. And even if you're watching later and it's not live, you can still say, hey, I watched this at whatever time. Thanks for the show. Whatever you want to say. Even if it's not live, we'd love to see your comments or smiley face or whatever it may be. So today is our Civic Engagement Day. As you all know, we have themed days now moving forward with the forum. So today is Civic Day. And we're really excited to be talking with Amanda Avalos and Cree Myles from Leaders Igniting Transformation. We're going to be talking about how they engage youth in the political process, and especially leading up to this November election. And then, of course, we're going to have lots of other amazing guests this week for you all to tune into as well. And remember that Wednesdays is our Spanish Forum Day. So with that, I would love to invite on our guests, Amanda and Cree, and to get to know them a little bit and about the work that LIT has been doing. Hey. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us.
Hey, y'all, how you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having us, Gabe. This is very exciting.
And really appreciate that mask reminder too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. It's important that we say that and to remind folks that it's still very much a pandemic out there. And I know after so much time, it's so easy to think that things are a little back to normal, but they are definitely not.
No.
But why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself, say your name and your pronouns and what you do with LIT, and we'll get into the conversation after that.
You first, Amanda.
Okay, got you. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Avalos. She, her, hers are my pronouns, and I'm the Senior Civic Engagement Director at LIT.
My name's Cree Myles. My pronouns are she, her, hers as well. And I'm the digital media manager over at Lit. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're really happy to have you too. We know that Lit does such amazing work, especially with everything that's been going on over these last few months. So really excited to have you on. And I would just love to know what all Lit has been doing in terms of civic engagement and the election and all of that. So whoever wants to start can go ahead.
Okay, I'll go. We'll take turns.
Okay, sounds good.
Absolutely. Conversation.
Sure. So because I'm the digital media manager, all of my engagement is around engaging people online, which is beautiful considering the fact that we're in a pandemic. And the dream demographic for us are the youngins, 18 to 25, Black and brown folks. So a lot of those are like first-time voters. A lot of them feel just kind of discouraged about everything that's happening. And so our task isn't small. And so we've been really creative with the ways that we've been attempting to engage them. For our first time, we're dabbling in influencer marketing. So we're like reaching out to people with larger followings on the internet who aren't necessarily like Beyonce, Rihanna famous, but like their niche, they're famous to them, or important to them or influential. And so that's been really fun to talk to them and to see how excited they are to get on board with everything that we're doing. And so that's something that I'm really excited about. And then we have interns in our comms department who are all college students. And we asked them if there was anything that they wanted to talk about or write about. And so we actually are starting a blog on our website where they are giving their personal perspectives based on their intersections around topics that are really timely to all of us. So it's just really exciting. And I think, I feel like when we lay our heads down on November 3rd, we're going to be like, we did everything we could, so no regrets.
Yeah. Thank you for all of that.
Yeah, Cree's basically amazing. So she does all that plus so much more. But just to introduce the organization a little bit in case folks aren't familiar, Lit is an organization. It's a pretty young organization. We actually turned 3 years old tomorrow. I just learned.
Happy
that's exciting.
Birthday.
Yeah,
actually,
right?
my birthday tomorrow too. That's
my God.
Libra
Awesome.
gang. Okay.
Well, happy birthday. So we're a youth of color-led organization, independent nonprofit, and we basically engage in like values-based issue and electoral organizing. Primarily, we do direct action, we advocate for public policy, and we do a lot of leadership development. Like Cree said, a lot for young people in the state. We have chapters on high school campuses, college campuses across the state, essentially just building political power for racial, social, and economic justice. We just want to make sure that we're making space for young people to lead, because, when you have young people on your side, that's how you win. So we want to make sure that we're developing that next wave of Wisconsin's leaders. So this year, obviously, we knew this was going to be a big year. We didn't see the pandemic coming, but it's here. We had to re-strategize everything and come up with essentially multiple scenarios for however things turn out. And that, for us, that meant taking people off the doors. We had a canvas team. We had to pull off the doors just to make sure that folks are safe. All of our outreach is digital, like you guys at SOC. Just to be safe. We're sending text messages to young people. We're making phone calls, making sure that folks know how to register to vote, how to request their absentee ballots, make sure that those get counted right away. I think we do also continuous year-round civic engagement work. So a lot of political education trainings for our staff, our fellows, our interns, our canvassers, any other folks who essentially just reach out to us and want to learn more. That's at the forefront of what we're doing, basically.
Yeah. All super important work given the pandemic. And I know it's heartbreaking to not be able to be going door to door or, building those relationships with people in person, because we know that that's the best way to do it. But given the safety concerns, yeah, we as well can't do the door-to-door canvassing. So
yeah.
Well, thank you both for that information and definitely for the overview of Lit as well. It's always really dope to hear about what you all are up to and what you have done. And the year-round model of civic engagement and making sure people are involved in things is so vital and so important. So I love seeing that in organizations. And then I also know there is this program that Cree is doing, or I don't know if you would call it program initiative, but Ask an Organizer. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that and how you're using that to reach young people as well.
Sure. It's in conjunction with our civics department. So I'm the face, but all of the answers get vetted and answered by civics just to make sure we're all on the same page. But I really, I know like the thing that I think people sometimes forget when you're in a digital space is that the rules of relationship building are literally the same. So you have to meet people exactly where you're at. So I was really thinking in terms of trying to get them information. If we're trying to just give them information that we think they want, we don't even know if like that's too far past or it's like too elementary. So I just wanted to ask them, what would you want to know about anything that's coming up? And so people have been answering. And like the questions have been as concrete as like, where do I vote? Like, where do I call to find out to vote? And then like as existential as how can we never be in this position again where I'm not excited. And Civics has done a wonderful job of giving really insightful feedback around how people can stay involved. And as I've been like reviewing it and preparing the videos, I'm really reflecting on the fact that all of this is like their day-by-day decisions that we make in terms of how we engage the people who are elected. So it's got to become a part of people's routines. Like I get up and exercise, or I get up and like drink my coffee, check and see what your local representative did today or what they have to do in the next few days. So that's how it started. And I really love creating content. It's one of my like favorite things to do. It's a fun outlet for me. So just to try and make engaging videos around voter education was just a goal for this election. I literally just made one at 1:00 that I guess will go out on Sunday because our social media manager said the calendar's full. But
that's so real.
It's so real, like it's crunch time. But that's just been one way that I think we've all been working to just another angle to hit people with. Because what's the stat? Like people need to hear about it 7 times before they make a decision. Yeah. So this is just one of the 7 that they can be like, oh, they're still talking about voting. We are. So go do it.
Definitely. Well, thank you for talking about that. And we'll definitely be sharing that content as well, because it is really engaging. And it's, I think, given, this TikTok generation, to see someone's face and to see it in a fun and like bubbly way is so important versus, these robotic sounding videos coming from places like the Elections Commission. I was like, we have to go and put it in.
I know. It's really hard to keep voting as a topic fresh. Like, right. I feel like Diddy killed it when he did Rock the Vote. And now ever since then, we've just been trying to come back, like, keep it fresh. It's not lame. Promise, it's not. So exactly. Trying new angles.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that and all of the dedication to that content on both ends of both you and Amanda and the whole civics team and digital organizing team. But we know that this election is super important. It's going to decide so much for so many people, especially if we're talking Black and Brown young people. So why is it so important to engage young people in the political process, just as a basic question, like why should people care that young people are voting?
That's a great question. I know that typically we see media depicting young people as apathetic about politics or uninterested. We know for a fact that's not true. What is true is that their voices are not acknowledged, recognized, or respected. So everything that we're doing is building the platform to uplift that youth voice, make sure that we're empowering our young people to know their rights, to know, learn their history and like why things exist, what systems exist, and how they can affect change on those levels. Yeah, like I said, everything that we're doing is to uplift those voices. And like, this is how we know that in 2016, Wisconsin was like the deciding state. Milwaukee is like the blue part of the state. So this is like the deciding place. Like this is the spot. And there's young people, and there's more and more young people every single year. So there's more and more people who are able to register to vote, and to show their voice in that way. So it's really important to make sure we are giving everybody a chance, and giving them that information that they deserve, and have that right to, right? We know we've seen when young people are at the table and like sharing their voice, this is how we see victories. Like our most recent victory was this summer with the MPS victory, right? Young people got cops out of schools. That's huge. Amazing. That's like work that's been going on for years. And it happened because of young people, and they stayed at the table and they learned the process, and they knew who to talk to, and they know what they're talking about, and like they were finally heard. So yeah, we're just trying to do that in every level.
Amazing work. Like I said, I have so much admiration for what Lit does. Anything you want to throw in, Cree?
I mean, just that, like, people always discount youth, but like history has shown that it's always the kids at the forefront of movements. And for us to be in the middle of a pandemic and the youth being like, oh, let's try and overthrow or reform this archaic system right now, like across the whole country, like no one can deny that energy. And I don't know why they get discounted, because I live right off of Locust, and I tell you, like at the height of the protest, it was the same kids every day driving past. So it was that's all they want. And I think one of the most beautiful things about the youth, and I think sometimes it's frustrating for other people, is that they're just purist. Like they're like, if you aren't going to give like an actual fair system, then we literally don't want to hear what you're saying. And so I think that's another reason why Lit is so important, is because I think, as all organizers know, it really is about meeting people where they're at. So that's part of like teaching the youth that like you gotta, in order for change to evolve, sometimes it is slow, but that's okay. And this is where we got to start, where other people are. That's the only way really to get it done. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, they're the ones that are out here every day still protesting. It's phenomenal to see that energy that the young folks have. And then, so Amanda, you mentioned a little bit about how every year there's more and more people turning 18. I think there's stat nationwide is like every 2 years there's 4 million new voters that are turning 18 in the country. And I don't know the number for Wisconsin, but we hear about this number that Trump won by 23,000 votes, or the election was decided by 23,000 votes. So it's clear that youth can really have an impact on this election. But can you think of any other like major impacts that the younger generation can have on this election, in terms of even what happens afterwards too?
Absolutely. So yeah, exactly. I'm not sure on the stat on how many more people turned 18 this year or these past 2 years in Wisconsin or Milwaukee, but even just besides that, like there are folks who have been eligible to vote for a long time and just have not been engaged. Their door has not been knocked. They haven't had a conversation with anybody who has reached out to ask them if they are interested in learning about what's happening, or who's their representative, or what their position does. And that's the level of political education that we seek to bring, again, not just to Milwaukee, but for other campuses around the state. We want to make sure that our young people know what these systems are, like we said, right? Of who's making what decisions at which tables and for what reasons, and then bringing their issues and their beliefs and values to the table as like, okay, I actually don't want my dollars to go to that. I don't want my representative to vote in this way. I feel differently. And when you have that knowledge to learn how to interact with that process, and whether that's a public testimony, a direct action, right? There's different tools that you can use. But once you have avenues to get there, that's how you continue to learn that you can affect change. So like I said, there's a lot of people locally that have still not been tapped into, have not been asked if they want to participate in the process at all. There's a lot of places and organizations that just rely on the same voters to vote every year in the same ways. But there's a lot more people that have not been engaged, and that's what we seek to do. So yeah, they're going to be affecting, and not just in their votes, because voting is just one part of the process. Not everybody has the privilege to do that. There are a lot of ways that are really important in participating in the political process, right? So your voice, your influence, your people that your networks, your beliefs, like you as a leader, has nothing to do with your citizenship status or anything like that. It's the way that you, who you are as a person, the way you influence, the things you believe in, the people that follow you and listen to you, how you teach people, and how you create that community. I think that's all really important, and everybody has a role in the movement, I believe. Not everybody has the same role. There are some folks that are really good at the digital piece, like Cree. She's amazing. She's talk about that fresh start, keeping voting fresh as a topic. She owns that. And then there's folks who are really good at writing the talking points of media, or the behind the stage stuff. Or there are folks that are really good just on the mic, or a strategy and learning history that well. So it's really important that we acknowledge that, and the importance of each of those roles, because when each of those are fully at the table and feel heard and acknowledged and respected, then that's how we can move together towards a collective vision.
Absolutely. And that way so many people can exhibit their talents that they have that might not be seen in one role versus another role.
Exactly.
And it's so much more powerful when people can tap into those talents and strengths.
Exactly. I feel like it's also a way to kind of resist some of those isms as well, right? So the elitism in having a title versus there's a lot to unpack there, but I think just people bring knowledge to the table, and it's not always seen and respected in the same ways. And when we start to do that in all processes and work and stuff, but especially in politics, then we get a little bit closer to equity, I think.
Absolutely. Anything you want to throw in there, Cree?
No, I think Amanda, she covered it, period. That's it. And I really love the part about just everybody has something to add, and the titles and the education and everything is low-key white supremacy anyway. So you can't discount people's lived experiences.
Absolutely not. Awesome. Well, thank you so much to both of you for being on with us today. And I think for me, something that I still struggle with is, and something that's been coming out so much more in the last few months that has opened people's eyes to what a lot of people have been knowing for a long time. And, if we're acknowledging that these systems are problematic and that they need to be dismantled, then it's also hard to then please go vote and be a part of this system, even though we know the system's not working for us. So I just wondered if either of you had any tips on how to talk to people about that, or honor that that's the way someone's feeling, but then also encouraging them to I know it sucks, but still we got to do this part. If anyone wants to speak on that, because I'm sure both of you have similar feelings of conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll jump in if that's cool. Kate.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a great question, and something I think about a lot. I think and this is just what I choose to do is on a personal level. I think it's best to just always be honest about it. About okay, I feel I'm constantly learning and changing my mind in a lot of ways, as I grow. And just being honest about okay, I understand that the status quo is harming us. It's not just not propelling us forward, but it's also harming us. And that there are systems within that we need to navigate and use to get little wins and little victories and get us a little bit closer to what we want, while also acknowledging that the whole system in general, a society that we were all born into and raised in, with all of these things to like dismantle, whether it's like beliefs or like a tangible system, acknowledging that that is harmful and needs to be changed. And we need like a new vision with a plan to move forward on that. I think like we can simultaneously do both if we are honest about how we share that information, right? So like when we talk with our canvassers, for example, about like folks that we talk to on the phones or texting, about, you know, I don't really know if my vote actually means anything, if it counts. That's fine. People have feelings about how, about the whole process, right? And like it's valid because we've all experienced it in different ways and, you know, with different privileges and different, you know, access to different ways that we access the system. I think that acknowledging that people's history and like their feelings from where they came from is valid and seen, and also they can form their own opinion, while also knowing that we're here to just share the information that we do have that can get us to somewhere collectively, and then also still work on like everything else. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I'm trying to like grapple that personally. And like,
Yeah,
I think just that, like having the conversation about how awkward and weird that is, like, because it feels like nobody knows really like what the plan is. But I think that's also like probably one of the first steps that it's going to take to get there. So having these conversations at all, I think, is advancing us towards where we need to be.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like a yes and, right?
Mhm.
Instead of this, I mean, all of the things are true at the same time in this point. And so I do, like Amanda said, I do want to hold space and honor everyone who feels completely disenfranchised by everything that's happening. And recognize that that's a perfectly okay emotion to have. And also recognizing that generally people don't like, if you're like demanding them or like telling them that they need to do something, like me even, like I will do the exact opposite just because you're acting like that. So that's never helpful. So just the gentle persistence of trying to explain to people if they want to hear it, or just showing up fully. That includes the fact that you're voting. My grandfather's 81. He lives in Mississippi. He is like pre-existing condition, high risk. You can't vote absentee in Mississippi. He made a voting plan, and he's going to be the first person there at the polls. And he was explaining all of this to me extremely calmly, like, well, I got to vote. And so like, for me, it's just like, if he can come up with a reason to vote, knowing that he's laying the path for a future that he's not even going to be able to spend that much time in, surely I can vote, because I mean, he's not any more thrilled than anybody else is, you know, about anything that's happening. And I guess that's just like the way that I try to engage in what's happening. I'm live, Ethan, so just so you know what's happening. This is my 10-year-old.
We love these moments. Please don't feel any type of way.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about engaging the young people.
I'm telling you, this is real.
It starts early. Yeah. So yeah, I just, being honest, like Amanda said, I really believe in vulnerability as like a superpower. So when people ask me, it should really just be like, I don't know. I'm voting. I talk about my grandfather because that hit me hard when he told me he was voting, no matter what. And I mean, it takes all the angles. A lot of, like, when I was in my early 20s, I remember I saw that movie The Butler, and he worked I think he worked in the White House, and he was a black man, and they just infantilized black men in the White House, and he would have to go every year and ask for a raise, and every year they'd say no for all of these years, the majority of his life, until eventually they gave him a raise because of systematic change. And then at the same time, because of that era, it's like the civil rights movement is going on, and like Angela Davis is out like running for her life. And it just made me realize it takes all the people working in all the spaces to make the movement. So it takes the people outside who are agitating. It takes the people who are going to go knock on the door every day with their uniform on to ask for the raise. It takes everyone. So whichever way, I guess, makes the most sense to you, as long as you're participating more than anything.
Right.
Props. I totally agree with that. And props to your grandpa for that.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. And I felt that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it made me emotional.
Yeah. I think like also, I'm just like thinking personally about this. Like the way we get there, I think political education is important. We need to make sure that folks are understanding the history behind all of this. None of this is new. A lot of this has been cyclical, and it's seen in different ways, but also very similar ways. And I think just knowing like where you come from and like the progress that it took, the work that it took to progress this far is really important. And like having these conversations, I guess, this is like the importance of civic engagement is, this is how we have this conversation to like move forward on something. I think that there, in a lot of ways, and like personally speaking, like politics was not what I went to school for at all. Like I thought I was I was in pre-med and then I went into like social justice stuff, thinking I was going to do social work and more like direct service stuff. I thought that politics was like a different language that I didn't speak. I didn't even try to understand. I was just like, that's not my thing. Right. But there are also, I still like felt the effects of how different systems played against me and for me, but I just didn't have the language to recognize it, if that makes sense. So I think like once I did public allies for 2 years and I learned a lot about like how you can name things, how you can see the systems of oppression and how they overlap and intersect and the ways that you lack privilege, but also have privilege in different spaces. And I think like once I learned that language, I was able to figure out that I actually have experienced this my whole life. I just didn't know how to name it or why I felt it or that it was even different from other people's experiences. So I think like that piece was critical and like moving me forward towards like wanting to learn more and wanting to like share that knowledge with people and essentially increase access for people to have these conversations and be able to make their own decisions and like think critically for themselves as to like, do we actually want all of this that's happening to us and for us and against us? And if not, how can we step in and make those changes that we want to see? So I think, again, like for me, it just goes back to that increasing accessibility and like the importance of knowing our histories.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, both of you. Thank you for sharing your piece on that, because it's vital to be doing all of those pieces. And I like what you said, Cree, about the gentle persistence. I think that's very real and a good way of approaching, just trying to reach people, because no one likes feeling attacked or shamed for feeling like they don't want to vote, because we know what our choices are, right? So it's a real it's very discouraging for many people, no doubt. So
yes,
to keep the conversation easy. But thank you so much for being on with us, you two. If there's any last message you want to share with our viewers, feel free. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having us. Honestly, like, thanks for reaching out. SOC does some really great work. So I appreciate being here with y'all. Register to vote if you have that ability. And if you have any questions, you can always feel free to us personally or to the organization as well. We can get that answered for you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we will be in touch, and we look forward to more Ask an Organizer videos and anything else to come from LIT. And I hope you two have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gabe. Take care, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Much thanks to LIT and to Amanda and Cree specifically for being with us today. And yes, like they were saying, we still have time to register to vote. Actually, the voter registration deadline was extended in Wisconsin, so we have until October 21st, not 31st. The 31st is the census extension deadline that also got extended again. So we'll talk about that in a second. But voter registration is extended till October 21st. That link for voter registration is in our comments section. So take a click on that and get yourself registered if you are not registered to vote. And with that, I want to give a coronavirus update. We have a video prepared for us by Marlene that we will share now.
This is flight number 1503. If you need a mileage coupon, please come forward to the desk to obtain one.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seatbelt.
Thank you for that. And yes, people are starting to travel more and more as time goes on. So definitely take all of the precautions that you can if you're going to be traveling, especially traveling by plane. So thank you for that video. Oh, Marlene always gets us really amazing videos. So with that, I want to share what's coming up this week. We've got a really big week. There are going to be multiple hearings about the city budget. So I'm going to share with you all what's coming up. I know this is small text, but today we had a Finance and Personnel Committee meeting that is a part of the budget hearing series. And the minutes and video should be posted soon for that. Then we have a Judiciary and Legislation Committee meeting at 1:30. There's also a City-County Task Force on Climate and Economic Equity meeting that was today at 2. And tomorrow at 9 a.m., there's going to be a Zoning, Neighborhoods, and Development Committee meeting. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., there's a Community Collaborative Commission meeting. Tomorrow at 1:30, there's going to be another budget hearing in the series. That's conducted through the Finance and Personnel Committee. Then tomorrow at 5 p.m., a Charter School Review Committee meeting. And tomorrow at 6:30, this is really important. This is going to be a joint public hearing on the city budget. So that's going to be a 2-hour meeting where public can comment, and that's going to be at 6:30. The link to register to that is going to be in the comments. So if you are interested in being a part of the meeting, I'm sure they'll live stream it to various locations. But if you want to be in the actual meeting, listening to folks, you can do so and register. So that's in the comments. After that, there's going to be a Finance and Personnel Committee meeting on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Also Wednesday at 12 p.m. an Equal Rights Commission meeting at 1:30 on Wednesday. There is a Finance and Personnel Committee meeting again. And same for Thursday at 9 a.m., a Finance and Personnel Committee meeting as more of the budget hearing series. And again, I can't see the date because it's blocked right now, but many different Finance and Personnel Committee meetings as a way to get information about the city budget. And the city budget was actually released, so I do want to share with you all what that looked like. If you remember, a month or so ago, I was sharing information about how you can go and do the budget survey to voice your opinion on where you think the money should be going. And this graph that's shown now is what people wanted, what was shown through that survey. So we have 21.9% to police services, fire and emergency services would have been 19.2%, public health 17.4% of the budget, city development 15.7%, libraries 13.8%, and other services 10.8%. So this is what came out of the survey from the public. This is what the public wanted to see, as a summary. And then this is what actually came out. So we see a very stark difference between what people wanted and what the budget actually is. Yet again, we see almost half the budget going to police services, 46.4% going to police services. Then we have public works receiving 20.5%, the fire department taking up 19%, and then the health department up on the very small sliver on top, 2%. And then libraries, 3.8%. As we can see, this is a very big difference than what the public had said in the survey. And so these budget hearings are going to be very heated. They're going to be very important to be participating in because these are very unacceptable differences, I think, for our community. And again, we will be posting in the comments the information to register for that joint public hearing on the budget that will be happening tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. So you'll definitely want to tune into that. And also, I mentioned earlier that there has been yet another change to the deadline for the census. So I know it's been very confusing, but as of now, a federal judge required that the deadline be extended back to the original October 31st date. So as of now, we have until October 31st to be filling out the census. So now more than ever, there is no excuse not to do it. We've been given this gift of more time. And so please be encouraging folks to be filling out the census. And last week I shared an image of the 2 areas on the south side that are still under 40% response rate for their neighborhoods. So we really want to be lifting that up and making sure folks know that it's still an option to fill it out and that they should be filling it out. As we've mentioned a number of times, this is going to determine how many seats we get in Congress as a state. This is going to determine redistricting and maps in the country. This is going to determine federal funding that we get as a community and as a state. So please, please, please be filling out that census. And again, we have until October 31st to do so. And also, I'm just going to share a quick video about how to fill out your absentee ballot successfully, because I know a lot of people have been getting their absentee ballots already. There's a number of questions about witness signatures and where do they sign and how do I fill it out to make sure that it's counted. So I'll just share that with you all quickly.
As Wisconsin gets ready for the upcoming election, people are asking,
so how do I fill out my absentee ballot once I've got it?
If you've received your absentee ballot by mail, don't wait. Start filling it out right away. After all, it takes time to complete a ballot correctly, and it can take up to 7 days for mail-in ballots to make it back to your municipal clerk's office by Election Day. Here's how to get started. Look inside your packet. You should find an absentee ballot for the upcoming election, a voting instruction sheet, and a postage-paid ballot certificate envelope for returning your ballot. Got everything? Great. Then it's time to line up a witness, someone who can verify that you filled out your own ballot. It can be a spouse, a neighbor. Choose a U.S. citizen who's at least 18 years old. They cannot be a candidate in the upcoming election. Your witness shouldn't see who you vote for. That's private. They can verify your vote at a distance, like from across the room, through a window, at a drive-through, or even over video chat, as long as they are able to sign your ballot certificate themselves once it's complete. Once your witness is ready, take a look at your ballot. Read the instructions carefully and fill your ballot out slowly, step by step. Write firmly and use a pen to make clear marks. Don't forget to check both sides of your ballot. You don't want to miss anything. If you change your mind about a selection or think you've made a mistake while filling out your ballot, don't try to white out or erase it. Instead, contact your municipal clerk's office. You can find your clerk's contact info at myvote.wi.gov. They'll answer your questions or send you a replacement ballot if necessary. Once your ballot is complete, take a minute to review your choices. Then refold it and place it inside the certificate envelope. Next, seal the envelope. Then complete the voter certification section. Don't forget to sign your name and make sure your witness signs too. They'll need to add their current home address to the certificate envelope as well. Congratulations! You've successfully filled out your absentee by mail ballot. Now that it's ready to be returned to your municipal clerk, don't wait. Mail your ballot at least 1 week before Election Day or return it in person. You can drop it off at your clerk's office through Election Day or follow the directions that came with your ballot to find out whether you should take it to your polling place or an absentee counting location on Election Day. Your absentee ballot must be received by Election Day to be counted. Find your clerk at myvote.wi.gov for local election information and absentee voting support.
And as always, if you have any questions about the voting process, the absentee ballot process, whatever it has to do with anything voting wise, please don't hesitate to reach out to us because we will help clarify whatever we can for everybody. I just want to remind everybody that we're going to have some great other guests this week. We're going to have Fidel from True School on tomorrow, Christina Hutron and Shnika Fitch from the Commission on Aging on Wednesday. And then we're going to have Claire Evers on Thursday. We love those days with Claire Evers. She's always got really great information from the Department of Health for us. So you'll want to tune in the rest of the week. And as always, we want to express our solidarity with the folks that are out there protesting, and our prayers and thoughts go out to anyone that has experienced loss or illness due to COVID-19. And we hope that everybody is staying as safe as they possibly can. So with that, I will leave everyone with a video thanking you all and thanking our funders.
I'm Juan. And I'm Mitzi. We would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC live show.
And for completing our SOC survey.
In addition to thanking our residents and tuning in and sharing our show.
We would also like to thank our sponsors.
As the Campaign for Human Development,
Wisconsin Voices,
City Development Block Grant,
the Blur Foundation,
City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention,
Movement Voter Project,
Tide
Foundation,
City of Milwaukee Promise Zone,
12th District Alderman Jose Perez,
all the faithful individuals who support SOC
through their personal donations.
Thank you.